Alright. See, it's kind of weird. Alright. Good morning, everyone. My name is Colin, and I'm a co-founder of Christian Sports Fellowship in the Bay Area. And I'm really excited today because today is our first meeting ever, and we're also going to go over a message on the topic of identity, and then going on a group ride to Alice's. So those of you who could make it, welcome. Those of you who are tuning in on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, welcome as well. We're glad to have you here. So do you guys know what the movies Born Identity, 50 First Dates, Finding Dory, Resident Evil, and X-Men have in common? They're movies about someone who wakes up and doesn't know who they are and where they are. So I think that's a common theme for us as humans. Like, we're on this earth, but a question that we'll all ask is, who am I and why am I here? So I remember a time when I was in middle school when that happened to me. I remember like one weekend I was just super emo and depressed, and like I felt this desire deep in my soul. I was wondering like, who am I and why am I here? And I just remember feeling really bad. And I think like with any teenager, after a few days you kind of forget about it and move on with life. So I kind of just got over it. But I think that longing still carried with me. And I also remember growing up, the real only documents that tell you what your identity is, at least in the United States, is your passport and your driver's license, because they have a picture of you. Other proofs of identity documents are social security card and a birth certificate, but those don't have pictures of you. So I'm not surprised that it's really easy to steal someone's identity. So with that said, I know that it seems pretty easy to steal identity or make up your identity. Like, you could fake it, couldn't you? So there's this movie that my girlfriend and I watched recently. It's called Second Act by J-Lo. And the premise of this movie is that J-Lo, she's a 40-year-old woman who works in this like Walmart. They call it a value mart, but it's similar to a Walmart. And she can't progress in her career because she doesn't have a college degree. So what happens is that her friend's son fakes her identity, makes up a super legit fake Facebook profile. They like Photoshop pictures of her with Obama and everything. And they lie about her education. Like, she graduated top of class from an Ivy League school. And they lied about her work experience, like she worked for these high-end retailers. And what happened was, she did really well. She got a job with a really big company and got like a lot of perks. She got an apartment that was like fully furnished and super nice. And she got like gift cards to designer places where she can get free bags and makeup. And she did really well. So I'm not encouraging you guys to lie about your identity, but I think when we introduce ourselves, we kind of say the best things about our identity. We emphasize the best things. So if you guys were to introduce yourself, how would you guys introduce yourself to someone? If you guys are single, what would you write on your dating profile? For me, I'm not single, but if I were to introduce myself to someone, I would say, hello, my name is Colin, and I'm an Asian American Christian from the Bay Area or San Francisco. I have a master's degree in civil engineering from Cal Poly, and I have a professional engineering license. So I didn't choose to tell you about the bad things about my life, but the good things, because I guess I feel like I worked hard and want to emphasize these things. So I think people do the same thing. Some people might say they're a proud dog owner of a German Shepherd or of a cat. They might say that they're a proud mother or father of an honor roll student, that they're an NBA athlete, just a lot of other things. And it doesn't necessarily have to be what you say. It can be what you spend your time in or how other people see you. So no offense to like Instagram models, but if you spend like 3 hours a day putting on makeup and taking selfies of yourself, you probably place your identity in beauty. If you work 7 days a week, working 12-hour days, and take pride in that, you're probably a workaholic. So some people might place their identity in their career, their social status, their marital status, if they're really proud of their partner or if they're not. If they're single, they like love the bachelor life. If they might take pride in the success of their children, they might take pride in their athletic ability or place their identity in that. So these things aren't necessarily bad, but the question is what happens if those things fail? So what would happen if the Instagram model got in a car accident and glass like cut her face and she can no longer take pictures of herself? What would happen if one of you guys like got in a motorcycle crash and broke your leg and couldn't play sports anymore? What happens if a parent who placed their success in their child did not become the doctor or lawyer that they hoped to be? Or if you lost your job, what would happen? And I think a lot of us would feel devastated. There's this world-class physician. His name is Dr. Strange. And even though he's not a real doctor, the experience it makes the point of what I'm trying to make. So there's this world-class physician who did really well. He was like the top physician in the world, and he could perform any surgery without fault. And what happened was one day he gets in a car accident and he can no longer use his hands anymore. So I just remember him being super emo in his house for like half a year. And some of the emotions that went through his mind were like frustration, rage, anger, inadequacy, and feeling kind of worthless. And I feel like because he placed a lot of his identity in his abilities to perform, when those were stripped away, then he was really frustrated. So I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret today. If you place your identity in things, external things that are constantly changing, those things will fail you. But if you place your identity in God, which never changes, then you don't have to feel that way anymore. So God created you and loves you. So turn to your neighbor and say, God created you and loves you.
God created you and loves you.
So Genesis 1:27 says, so God created mankind in his image. In the image of God he created them. A male and female he created them. And 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he's a new creation. The old has gone, the new has come. So it's not if, but when you place your identity in God, then everything changes because you're made in his image. So I guess going back to the example, the Instagram model who constantly wants likes, there might be a desire in her heart because she feels ugly if she doesn't get those likes from people. So if she were to place her identity in God, then she doesn't have to feel ugly ever because God sees her as someone that he made in his image and that he thinks that she's beautiful. And guys, you guys are handsome as well because you're made in God's image. And those who feel worthless because they lost their job and they can't take pride in their career anymore, God says, I see infinite worth in you. And those who feel like super lonely because they're single and don't have anyone, God says, I am there with you always. So there's nothing that you have to do or nothing that you can do to change how God feels about you. You can rest in the fact or the comfort that you don't have to find your worth and identity that's defined by yourself or by other people, but the way God sees you. So I believe that all of you are here today for a reason. Those of you who are tuning in, you stumbled upon this video for a reason, and that is to answer the question that we asked earlier. Who am I and why am I here? And the answer to that is that God created you and loves you and wants to have a personal relationship with you. So some of you guys might not know who God is yet, but I really encourage you to seek that journey out. You guys are welcome to message me. You're welcome to talk to the guys in this group. You should talk to any Christian friends or any pastors from a theologically sound church. I really encourage you guys to really seek God. And I really encourage you guys also not to place your identity in things of this world that are constantly changing and can fail you, but really seeking your identity in things of above. So once you do that, then you'll find peace in yourself. So I have these questions, or we're going to transition to a time of answering questions. So in this group, we're going to answer these questions together. If you guys are tuning in, you can answer them on your own, or you can be in groups and answer them together. So I'm just going to read the questions. They're also going to be displayed on the bottom of the screen. So the first question is, how would you introduce yourself to others? Number 2, based on how you introduce yourself, what do you place your identity in? How would you feel if those things failed? Number 3, what are your thoughts about placing your identity in God? It's okay if you don't believe. What would your response in number 2 change if you saw yourself how God saw you? Okay, so we're going to break.